Charlie Munger, the investment guy, said, all I want to know is where I'm going to die, so I'll just never go there. And what he meant was simple, right? Success isn't about doing everything right. It's about avoiding the mistakes which are going to kill your progress. For him, that meant avoiding bad investments. For chefs trying to get in shape, it's actually the same kind of idea. If you keep starting over with low energy routines that never stick, weekends that undo all of your progress, it's probably not laziness or a lack of discipline like you might think it is. Chances are you're walking into specific traps that are built into this job. Traps that are killing your consistency, energy, and momentum. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 places that your fitness goes to die as a chef, why each one of them kills your progress, and most importantly, how to avoid them without training more, eating perfectly, or overhauling your life. And once you know where the progress is going to die, you can just stop going there. So here's the underlying problem that chefs have with fitness. Most aren't failing because they're not doing anything or not trying hard enough. They're failing because they're playing the wrong game, where the rules are written for 9 to 5 routines. But if you're working long shifts, brutal weekends, unpredictable rotas, then copying a 9 to 5 fitness routine is never going to work. So instead of chasing the perfect plan, let's flip it and look at the exact places where your progress and your routine breaks down. And I'll just show you how to avoid them. So this is the first place that your progress goes to die. If you're on your feet for 12 hours a day, your energy's cooked, your free time is going to be very limited, and recovery takes longer than you think it takes. So expecting yourself to train 5 or 6 days a week is just insane, to be honest. But when you see someone doing that on Instagram, you don't think, oh, their plan is different for a reason. You think they must be more disciplined than me. And that's where the trap starts. And I used to really force this. I would train 5, sometimes 6 days a week, 3 days in the gym, 1 day off. Didn't matter if it was a bank holiday weekend or the lead up to Christmas. If it meant I had to get up at 6 a.m. just to get a session in and not break my 3 on 1 off chain, I was going to do it. And it worked, kind of. I was showing up, but the results weren't really matching up to the effort that I was putting in. So I actually spent about 2 years just spinning my wheels, making very little progress, always tired, and constantly fighting myself. Because I thought this was the gold standard. All of the fitness content that I'd seen pointing to the fact that more training equals better. So I had the discipline, I was doing everything you're supposed to do, but I was actually wrong. And eventually I took a step back and accepted the fact that my progress wasn't where I actually wanted it to be. And at that point I had to swallow my pride, accept that I didn't know everything that I thought I knew, and try something different. So when I finally cut training down to just 3 sessions a week instead of 5 or 6, it genuinely changed everything. Instead of push-pull legs twice a week, it was full body training. So I was hitting the same muscle groups, the same amount of times in the week. It was the same stimulus, but there was more chance for recovery because I had more rest days. There was less pressure to fit everything in each week, and it was so much easier to stick to it. I felt like an idiot for not doing it sooner. And within 3 months of making that change, I looked and felt completely different. That's why fix number 1 is simple. Train less, but smarter. Stop aiming for 5 workouts a week, seriously. Instead, do 2 or 3 full body sessions, whatever you can fit in. That means you can hit everything multiple times a week still, recover properly, and stay consistent way more easily. Okay, trap number 2, and this is where momentum goes to die. Obviously, weekends as a chef aren't a nice reset like they are for everyone else. It's pretty much just fatigue stacked on top of more fatigue from earlier in the week. Longer hours, no breaks, no chance to eat anything. So by Sunday night, your body's pretty much empty, your brain is fried, and the gym bag gets swapped for a takeaway menu or the Uber Eats app on your phone. And I used to treat weekends like it was something to just power through. The 5 sessions a week that I was doing was evidence to me that I had the discipline that I needed to have. So all I was focused on was still training hard, just grinning and bearing it through the weekend and dealing with the tiredness later. But that tiredness always spilled into the next week. I'd still be playing catch up on Tuesday. I'd still be snoozing my alarm 5 to 10 times throughout the week and feeling immensely fatigued in my workouts as well. It got to a point where my gym sessions just completely stagnated, and I realized I had to do something about it. The whole power through thing wasn't really working. And obviously there's not much you can do about the reality of working 30 plus hours over 3 days. But what I found out was that you can do something to buffer the fatigue a little bit. So I started going into those weekends with one goal in mind. Don't let my energy hit 0. And ultimately, calories are just energy. So every week it got to Wednesday and I started preparing, thinking ahead. What meals or what foods or what snacks can I bring into work this weekend to keep myself topped up? Things like protein shakes, smoothies, sandwiches, wraps, protein bars, anything like that. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't necessarily the cleanest, healthiest food that someone can eat. But to me, it was survival food. It got me through those weekends with more energy than before. So the fix for this one is just to prepare for the weekends. Bring snacks, bring protein shakes, bring calories in with you and stay topped up. That way you can prevent or at least minimize all of that fatigue spilling into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all of the following week. Okay, trap number 3. So the thing with this job is if it was just the long hours or just the busyness or just the weekends, that would be one thing, but it's never the same week to week. Rotas are going to change, shifts need covering, and some days kick off for no rhyme or reason. So having a rigid routine does not survive this job, and trying to force one into that is just going to make you feel guilty at the end of the day. So the mistake here is trying to force too much structure into something that can't actually handle it. And where this showed up for me was obviously the 5 or 6 sessions a week. It was just really pushing it. It didn't leave any margin for error for me, because if I missed one day, it would usually throw off the whole week because my rest days would be planned out to match with certain days of the week or the days that I'd be working, things like that. And most of the time, I would just feel behind of where I should be. And with most of the chefs that I know having a bit of a perfectionist mindset, it's never as simple as just missing one session, accepting it and carrying on. It's more like, I've missed one session, the week's fucked, I'm starting again on Monday. So it's not just that 2 or 3 sessions a week is better in terms of recovery. We've already covered that. But the 2 or 3 sessions, it gives you much needed breathing room and margin for error. There's way less psychological pressure on you every single week because you start the week from 0, and instead of having to get all the way up to 5 sessions and tick all those off, you've only got to get to 2 or 3. And with the job as chaotic as it is, it goes without saying that you want the least amount of additional pressure on top of that every single week. Otherwise, you're just going to stress yourself out and ultimately probably burn out. So the fix here is to build that flexibility into your training. And part of that comes from just having less sessions overall, but you can fit those sessions on your days off. If you're someone who works 4 on, 3 off, perfect. Do your 3 sessions on your off days. Or if you do 5 and 2, you can get 2 on your days off. Maybe that'll just be the 2 sessions that you do for the week. Or maybe you can squeeze one in on a shorter shift. Or it could be that you just do it on your first day back in work before all that fatigue has had a chance to build up and you're still feeling fairly fresh. There's loads of ways to do it here, but the key is not to get tied to specific days of the week that you train. Try to keep it fluid so that you can match the days that you do train or go to the gym with your days off, for example, and your quieter work days. Because consistency with that over a period of months is so much better than perfectly planned weeks that never actually come to fruition. Okay, the 4th place that your progress goes to die is actually in the kitchen itself. You're surrounded by food all day, there's chips everywhere, drinks after your shift, and 0 structure around meals and meal timing. So trying to eat perfectly or even just trying to eat somewhat clean is like trying to stay dry in the rain without a coat. So the one thing I tell my clients is this: you don't need perfect with food, you just need slightly better. If you always just aim for slightly better each week, eventually you'll get to a point that could be considered perfect or close to it. But the actual fix is just to reduce the pressure around food. You have permission not to have to be perfect with it. Prioritize protein, eat enough to function and to have energy, and add some structure to the day instead of just relying on blind willpower. And what I mean by that is maybe bring in some overnight oats or some yogurt and fruit and granola or whatever it is, and you eat that in the morning, then maybe have a sandwich or a protein shake in the afternoon, and then try to eat something in the evening as well, whether it's during service or after service when you get home. Just something is going to be better than nothing. And while that's not quite breakfast, lunch and dinner, at least it is 3 meals which are reasonably spaced throughout the day. And even small improvements like that make quite a big difference with this. Okay, this last one is the silent killer. And I've briefly touched on it already, but it's the all or nothing mindset. If I can't train properly, then what's the point? If I miss one session or mess up my nutrition, I'll just restart on Monday. But all that does is create guilt, drop off, endless restarting, and months or years of little to no progress. I think everyone's felt this, where you think that one home workout a week isn't enough to actually make any difference to your physique, but that's not true. Or trying to change too many things at once. So deciding that you're going to start exercising You're going to get up for a run, you're going to get up early, you're going to keep the house clean, you're going to start investing and saving your money, and you're going to quit smoking all at once. And then when one of those doesn't go to plan, everything gets sacked off. When in reality, the best changes are the most sustainable changes, the ones that can stick around the longest, which basically means the ones that are the easiest to change. So the fix here is to think longer term, think bigger picture. You don't have to get it perfect from the start. You don't have to do what everyone on Instagram does or what everyone on Instagram wants you to think that they do. Because if you start training once a week and it fits in, great. You do that for 3 months and you decide, actually, I could probably train twice a week or 3 times a week. Perfect. At that point, you can start doing that because it's enough of a habit and it's actually an internal drive to increase that. Whereas if you start from the get-go trying to hit 3 sessions a week, that might feel like a chore. You might struggle to do that. And within a few weeks, you might be burned out and just give up. So instead of thinking so short term, like I've got this goal, I need to be doing the gym 3 times a week in order to get it, think across a year. Think, okay, phase 1, the first 3 months of the year, I'm going to go to the gym once a week, or I'm going to make this one small change to my diet. And from there, those changes can evolve naturally and you become the person who wants to make more of those changes anyway. But yeah, just zoom out a bit, think 1 session a week, that's 50 gym sessions in a year. If you've struggled with fitness in the past, have you ever done 50 gym sessions in a year? So just aim for what's easier to stay consistent with, because consistency is going to win every single time. So ultimately, your progress doesn't stop and it doesn't die because you're bad at fitness or you lack willpower or you're not motivated enough. It dies because you keep walking into these predictable traps that can be avoided. So now we've identified where this progress dies. All you have to do is not go to those places. That's how consistency becomes easier. And when that becomes easier, progress follows, motivation follows, and everything compounds upwards. But once you know how to avoid all these traps, the next problem most chefs I speak to hit is they get some consistency going, but they're wasting time and energy doing the wrong things. And even though they're consistent, they're still not really getting anywhere, or they're not moving as quickly as they want to be moving. That's why in this video, I'll show you exactly how to build a plan that will help you reach those goals that you've got. Go and watch that one next. I'll see you there.